We're looking for some local Port Macquarie sponsors. So if you're out there in Port Macquarie and you'd like to sponsor, but if you're Walkmania or Fo Home, we need lunch and we're hungry.
Welcome to Fat Profits Podcast. My name's Corey and this is Ben. This podcast is about property finance and more. Here we're going to talk about all things around lending, purchasing, and also business and investment stories. This is not financial advice, this is general advice. We are mortgage brokers, so we do this every day. We don't recommend that you take this podcast and action this yourself. Please take this to a professional.
Well, g'day, Corey.
Hello, Benjamin.
Another fine tune bringing us in to
Yes.
our podcast for today.
Yes.
Mate, I am excited for this one because
Me
I
too.
think we're going to be covering some stuff that I'm big on. But I think the key thing as well is we're going to be finishing on a horror story. Now, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Going to be a real beauty. Now, to start off, we always go into a bit of a prediction for the year.
Yep.
Now, we're about to hit the start of the AFL and NRL season. Now, I don't care about your opinion about AFL, but I know you deeply care about my opinion of NRL. Average crowd size I'd love to discuss. But anyway, look, today for the big prediction, we're going to hold you to this.
Yes.
You've got to predict the grand finalist and the winner of the 2026 NRL final series.
Should I go wild prediction
No, you got to go.
or do I be boring?
If you had $100,000, who would you bet on?
If I had $100,000, who would I bet on? I'd probably bet on Penrith Panthers again.
You're going Panthers.
I'd go Penrith Panthers.
We'll never hear the end of that if they win this year.
I don't want them to win, but I think it's Penrith Panthers.
Okay, and who are they playing in the final?
It has to be Melbourne Storm, or I reckon Bunnies are a chance
Bunnies without Payne Haas.
without Payne Haas.
Oh, there you go. Well, with Payne Haas, they're going to do very well.
With Payne Haas, I reckon they come dead last. That's just my bold prediction for 2027.
We'll hold you to that and punish you if
Hold
you
it.
get it wrong. Look, I'm going to say I reckon it's going to be a Brisbane Penrith final. That would be my tip.
Yeah.
With Broncos winning.
Broncos winning again,
Yeah.
back to back.
Although I grew up in Queensland and I kind of also barrack for the Broncos team bus to either break down or drive off a bridge. So
And I think the Brisbane Lions do it again.
you go.
For AFL.
You reckon they go 3?
I reckon they go 3.
I reckon you're going to have – this is the last chance for my team, the GWS Giants. Our premiership window finishes this year or next.
No.
Adam Kingsley is a genius.
I don't know who that is.
He's the man. And we've got a few players out. So, look, I would love to say Giants are going to win, but my heart says go Giants. My head says probably we're going to be looking at Hawthorn are going to be there and thereabouts. I'm really thinking they're going to have a big year. You can't always rub out Geelong because they're just always there and thereabouts. I think Brisbane, obviously, Chris Fagan's a genius. So
Everyone got very bored for that last 30 seconds because we're talking about AFL, but we'll move on. We'll see what happens in 6 months when we're hitting
we will.
hitting the grand final.
Now, so in terms of picking the right team, that's not just important for NRL. Like if you're right now a fan of the North Queensland Cowboys, you're in for a tough couple of seasons.
Yes.
Same with North Melbourne, but that's been going for 20 years. The reality for investing is you need the right team. Now,
Yep.
we think the right team's us. We'll get to that.
Yep.
Why is the right team so important? Talk us through that.
A few reasons the right team is important is I think it's number one, education, which we've talked about on the other podcasts, asking the right questions and having a plan, ultimately. Not, I don't know, you can't borrow, so we're not going to have next steps. That's important. And I think, obviously, that team willing to evolve. If you're building a property portfolio, that business should be building with you. And what I mean by building with you is they're evolving, they're changing, and they're taking on feedback and all those things. And Source Financial being 3 years old, even look at the business a year ago, it's evolved with our investors. We've had feedback, we've had good and bad feedback, and we always adjust to it and adapt. So I think it's important as well when you look at the accountant side of things, you can with mortgage brokers and accountants or even buyers agents, that they're all aligned. They're all on board for the strategy. They're all on board for your journey, and that's probably important. One team, like the broker over here saying something and an accountant over here saying something, and they're not willing to talk or get on the same page, you've got the wrong team somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's a part that you're going to have to diagnose.
Ultimately, it's tough when you might be starting the investment portfolio process to actually know who's the right team.
Yep.
You know, how do I know a good accountant? How do I know a good broker? It really comes down to the questions that you're asking. Now, a lot of guys ask me commonly, "Oh, you're a broker. Do you have an investment portfolio?" Well, at the moment, I had, and then I've done this, and bought my own occupier that I talked about last time. But it's not about you as a broker having done a portfolio. It's actually about, because I might have done my portfolio 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's completely different lending.
You've gotten what you want out of it.
Exactly. But I know people who talk about what they did and it happened 5 years ago. Well, I think there's a fair few people who you didn't need to know much at all to make money 5 years ago.
No.
Making money in 2026 is way different.
Yeah.
And we talked about this at length, but 2026 is different.
Yeah.
Very, very different to even 2023. And so the right team is not living off 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago success. They're people who have a strategy for you today. Mm-hmm. And so the question isn't, have you built a portfolio, Corey? That's not the key question. It's what is happening today and how would I do this? And they can answer that.
Yeah. And it's important that there is a track record, and that means past history, and the track record could be things you've learnt that you shouldn't do, and the track record is also what a current client's doing, and what's the plan going forward, and that's where we can deliver for you. That's probably an important part.
So in terms of having the right team, there's also the element of you want a team that you can trust.
Yep.
And they're going to do the right thing by you, and they're going to do the right thing by your portfolio. And there's a number of layers to that, which probably for time's sake we won't go into. But I think you want to have a team you can trust.
Yep.
They're not lying to you. They're not bending the truth. They'll give you bad news. They'll tell you to stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important part of trust. Do you want to explain maybe more what it looks like to have a team that you can trust?
Obviously, me and you, when we talk about integrity, that's probably our most important trait that we want to have as brokers and as business. And there are a lot of ways that you can get around certain things, right? And being in grey areas, we don't like that. So for us, integrity is the important thing. And we do have instances where, there might be people that want us to do certain things or say certain things or don't worry about that child that's in my baby's belly or whatever it is.
Your baby is having a baby?
My baby is having a baby.
It's like a Russian doll syndrome.
But the instance of like my wife's pregnant, but we don't want to kind of include that. Oh, no, I've got a girlfriend that I live with, but we don't want to include her. I'm single because I'm not married to her. For us, we're always going to do the right things. That means we're going to say you have a baby. We're going to say that you're in a de facto relationship. And our approach is, well, if we can be honest with people that we don't care about, which is we don't care about the person on the other end at the bank. We don't know them, but we know you. If we're going to be honest and have integrity with them, it means we're going to be honest and have integrity with you. So it's important to do those things. And, cutting corners and doing the wrong thing can actually put you in strife. Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is not now.
I always say to people, I never want to just say no. I want to say no, but this is what we can do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's critical. If you're only ever hearing yes, there's never just straight yeses on everything, unless you're like, Bill Gates and you got unending cash.
There are some clients. There are some clients that's like, they go, how much can you borrow? And I'm like, whatever you want. There are some clients that are like that, but that is not everybody.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're not going to be in trouble.
Having the right team protects you from the exposure to some really bad stuff that can happen. The other thing about having the right team is they're going to navigate stuff, and we've talked at length about 2026 and the realities of what 2026 is. But having the right team as well gives you options.
Correct.
There's a lot of people who have had the wrong team, and if I had $1 for everyone who came to with no borrowing capacity and they've got to sell a property, and it's because they had the wrong team.
Correct.
Having the right team is about making sure you've got options, because policy is going to change. You don't know what the policy is going to be in 2 years. No. How about you just explain what having options in 3 years when we don't know what's going to happen in 3 years looks like as a broker?
Yeah. Look, I typically don't go that far in advance. I'll typically, again, I'm always going, well, yes today and yes tomorrow. What does that look like? Even in business planning, I don't think if I do a 2-year business plan that it's going to be the same, right? I think you need to take it as the hits come. So I think it's about having a plan for today and tomorrow, and then patience. And I think that's always the approach we have. We know what the end goal is. The end goal is 1, 2, 3 properties, or 1, 2, 3 amount in equity, or 1, 2, 3 amount in income. We know that that's always the goal, but we need to tackle with what's yes and does that keep our options open? And that's probably the important thing.
Yeah. It means that if you're someone out there going back to your broker 12 months after they gave you advice going, hey, we can still do X, Y, Z, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the case.
No.
And it never has been, but especially in the last 12 months, it's very different. In terms of accountants, obviously TGM sponsor of the program, Source Financial sponsor of the program, but TGM, having a good accountant, it's about tax advice at that point.
Yeah.
They can save you a lot of money with tax advice. They can also position you for a portfolio.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage you not to have an accountant who gives credit advice. That's always a bit of a sign.
Happens a lot. Go to this lender. Yep.
I'd also encourage you, don't get a broker who's going to give tax and financial advice.
Correct.
That's always a bit of a sketchy point, right? How about you talk us through what you need from an accountant and why it's important to have a good accountant?
A few things are important. It comes down to bank policy. One is profitability. So if you've bought in trust and the trust is genuinely profitable, you need a letter. If it's not profitable, then we need to get an indication that it's not profitable, and we can find that out by getting the statements and all those types of things. But the most important thing is not so much the letters that you can get, it's also at what points do you pull certain levers. Because you'll have a period in your portfolio where you're accumulating, and then you have a period in your portfolio where you need to distribute losses and profits to other things. And that's the important thing.
Especially if you're self-employed.
Especially if you're self-employed. But even as your portfolio goes further down the line, eventually different levers need to be pulled. And if you've got losses, right, but you've got profits over here, they can minimize the position. And if you're not looking to accumulate in the next kind of year or two, that's the important conversation and strategy around some of those things. Yeah.
And the financial advice, you can ask for a financial planner.
Yeah.
They do come in handy at times, really, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just an expensive
Very
investment
at this stage, yeah.
And so it's something worth talking to and getting an idea of what they can offer. In terms of building the right team, how we do it is good conversations.
Correct.
Having good conversations with people. Don't waste professionals' time. Find someone who is going to get you where you need to go. Talk, if you've got a good broker, go, who would you use as an accountant? If you've got a good accountant, talk to someone who's a broker that you'd recommend, or maybe your buyer's agent, ask them. Having the right team becomes a really critical part. And we see a lot of people with the wrong team and how much it affects them.
Yep.
Sometimes 2 years later and they're like, oh. So if you want to hear from Source TGM, we can very quickly tell you whether or not we can help you and change things. It's really about just booking an appointment.
Correct.
It's 15, 20 minutes. It's going to save you potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
It's probably a good segue into our investor story of the week, which we talked about your investment portfolio journey.
Yeah.
But we kind of dipped away from this bit, which is a horror story.
Yeah.
And we don't want to just talk about everything we got right.
Yep.
Tell us about what's happening.
Yeah, it's a current horror story that's been ongoing since 2020. So again, I talked about that. My way of getting deposits was being involved with developers and doing certain things. Well, I went to another JV with somebody we did a duplex. It was in mid north coast of New South Wales, and it was during COVID, right? So things were slow. Governments were closed. Councils were closed. It was really hard, but as soon as we got council approval and a DA to build, it was kind of, I don't know if you guys are aware, but a lot of builders are going bankrupt. And that's because of, one, there wasn't enough construction. Building materials went up significantly. So what was a construction contract all of a sudden needed to change. And the reality is the ATO position and the tax position for a lot of these people, it's really tough. So as soon as it was approved, basically that builder went bankrupt. That was 2021. And we had to go through a process on signing documents where basically we weren't able to use those same plans. So to be able to use most of the plans, we had to change certain windows and do certain things. So that was the only way the liquidator would give us the plans and be able to proceed forward. That then took, just to change some windows and doors and things like that, it took nearly 2 years to get an approval. We had another builder that we were introduced to that had helped some of these other clients that were halfway through a build that had been affected. And then 2023, the builder starts. And then by 2024, the builder's license was suspended at fixing stage. And so they were fighting that, and the builder went bankrupt and liquidated. So we went through the whole process again of having to go through liquidators and all these things. The duplex was supposed to be, $800K profit, right? Land was $250. By the time the first builder went bust, the land was worth $500, right? And all of a sudden, we're dealing with insurance and all these types of things. So at the fixing stage, didn't get much from the insurance, and now another builder have come in, and then they've gotten a different engineer to say, we don't like the foundations, we want to knock over the whole thing and start again. So that's the last update.
Wow.
So now we're trying to get other engineers and other builders and finding a builder to get out of another contract. So when we talk about the right type of investments, construction is very, very scary. Construction is not a great industry at the moment. It needs to be a great industry. When we talk about immigration and how undersupplied properties that we are, we're supposed to be building 240,000 properties a year. Where last 2 years, we're behind by 125,000. To hit the 1.2 million by 2030, we're not going to hit it. So it's very challenging. And this, the suspension was basically came out of someone complaining on another contract. So it is a horror story. I am a big fan of development. I am a big fan of subdividing property. But the safest bet is buying in growth areas. It is the safest bet, and that's my current horror story. So what was once successful, that's my first.
And there's a number of lessons you can get out of it.
Numbers, heaps of them.
I do want to highlight, we're just calling on the government to make development great again.
Make development great again. And it's not. It's a nightmare. It's not. We need to build, we need to develop, but there's no incentive to do it.
Yeah,
it's horrendous.
Which is part of the problem, because investors have to naturally then go and buy existing properties.
Correct.
So there's our big call out to the governments.
Yeah,
to
local councils,
local, state, federal.
Yeah, building commissioners.
Entirely in your court. But if you're an investor out there, it really is, again, about having the right team who are going to be seeing these kinds of things. And partly it's anecdotal, like you're experiencing it, so you can talk to clients about it.
Yeah, look, there's things I would have researched about those builders earlier as well. I would have been,
check their 5-star reviews on Google.
Again, I listen to the average Joe at the barbecue, right? These guys, no, just because Stephen recommended it, doesn't mean it's the best option. You got to get the right team around you, and if you're in development and in those things, it's not just brokers; it's also builders.
Yeah, what it takes to finance a build is pretty special.
Yeah,
and so having the right broker, if you want to go down that, because there's going to be a time where building a house is going to make you money in Australia.
Yeah,
because it has to,
and it can
if we don't fix that in the next few years. So it's probably one of those areas like that you could start looking at and researching to be ready for when that does turn, because at some point that's going to have to turn around in Australia.
That's right.
So really key things from there. Now, finally, we do need to have a shout out to our sponsors. Now, we've talked at length about Source Financial and TGM, amazing sponsors, the best. Thanks for all that you do. But we're making a call to the Port Macquarie region. We have been supporting you. We're asking for them to support us. So we got Fo Home in Port Macquarie.
Yeah.
We've also got Walkmania Port Macquarie.
That's right, our lunch spots.
Rumours are, and I don't know who started these rumours, but there's rumours out there that there's a little bit of fight over us, but we're looking for a local lunch sponsor.
That's right, yeah. Now, I've also heard, Fo Home, Walkmania said that your curry, and I quote, has no flavour and has no spice, lacks any type of consistency. So that's the so Walkmania. We'd like a response to that, and we'd like some evidence
Yeah.
as to why your curry is greater than
It
theirs.
could have been them that said it. It could have been someone else.
Yeah, we don't know who plants
don't
it.
know.
Well, we've received a mysterious DM about it.
But we do want to sponsor. We're looking for some local Port Macquarie sponsors. So if you're out there in Port Macquarie and you'd like to sponsor, but if you're Walkmania or Fo Home, we need lunch. And we're hungry.
And if you sponsor 10 lunches, I'll sponsor someone else 10 lunches.
We don't have them here, obviously.
No.
Because we're not in Port Macquarie today, but we'd love to. And we'll be there soon.
Yep.
Give us a shout out. Look, that's it from us today. And the next few episodes, we're looking forward to some big conversations. We're going to be talking to some accountants soon. We're going to be talking about budgets, deposits, borrowing power. We're going to be really covering some important stuff for you this year. So stick around. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And thanks so much, Corey.
Thanks,
we'll
Benny.
Chat to you soon.